Welcome back, everybody, to the Section YY podcast. I am Negative Niece. I'm joined, as usual, by Harb. What's going on, Harbin?
Living that honky tonk dream, brother.
I heard that.
Chilling.
Great day yesterday in G10. Another fantastic JWTDG tailgate. A lot of people showed up. Um, Great day before the game. Perfect weather. Beautiful temperature, beautiful skies. Had some food, chocolate milk. We were ready to go.
Great tailgate for sure. We'll knock us out early. That way we don't have to do it late. I feel like it's a better time to do it anyway. Had a lot of people come by. Had a lot of my Sevier County friends that I've met through work and various other instances come by the tailgate, and also had a lot of Strawberry Plains and surrounding areas folk as a whole. Uh, Very good turnout. I don't know how many people we had at one time, but in totality, that was one of the bigger turnouts we've had. So,
Yeah, I don't think it was quite as big as the last two Bama games, 22 and 24, but it was close. There was a lot of people there.
yeah, like at one time, I don't think there was as many as those two games, but there's a lot of people that stopped by, walking to other tailgates, just visiting and whatnot, and
Yeah.
not going to take a whole lot of time. It'd take way too much time to shout everybody out, but it's good to see all of y'all. The one special shout out I will say is Logan Shared and Taylor, his wife, came by.
Yes.
Hadn't seen them in a while. It was very good to see them. So thank y'all for coming out, and everybody else that came out and is listening.
Yeah.
Thank y'all as well. Also, a special shout out to Wrigley Vol,
Yes. Wrigley Field Vol.
Wrigley Field Vol. Yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
Wrigley Field Vol. I was walking back to the car, Big Montana. Had to stop at the Porta John on the way back. And so I'm gonna go back, get me something to drink, walk back up, and there's a few people up there, and I see this guy standing there. I'm like, who is this guy? I walk up and he goes, "Are you Negative Niece?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm Wrigley Field Vol." I was like, "Hey, it's one of our followers on on social media." So Wrigley Field Vol, great guy. He comes in for one game a year, he told us, and he came and he didn't get to make it pregame, but he came and waited on. He was really wanting to see you, to be honest, Harb. He was like, "Where's Harbin at?" And I was like, "Buddy, I don't know. I think he'll be here in a few minutes. I don't know where he's at." But yeah, he was waiting on us. Good to meet him. Appreciate him listening. He said he listens every time he walks his dog or is working out, whatever he's doing, he's listening to us. So appreciate that. He it is kind of cool. I mean, Wrigley Field Vol is his social media name. I'm a big Cubs fan, but turns out he's a right field bleacher bum. Goes
Really?
up to Chicago every now and then, and he says he's got a text group of just right field guys, just guys that sit in right field. So they talk about the Cubbies all the time. So we were crossing our fingers and hoping there when we left G10 last night that the Cubs would pull us through, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. So we'll move on to next year with that. But yeah, shout out Wrigley Field Vol. He got to meet you, me, Big Montana, so he was excited. We were excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super nice to do it. It was nice to meet him. Uh, Good to segue into your Cubs. Um, I'm gonna be a little bit of a dick. Misery loves company. Welcome to the club, pal.
Yeah, yeah. They what's everybody say? Not the outcome we wanted, but at least we got there, I guess. I mean, honestly, I coming into the season, I was like, the Cubs probably need to make the playoffs this year, and that was kind of what I was thinking for them. But they legit, I mean, they took the Brewers to the wire, and I mean, even in that game last night, I didn't get to watch all of it, but I think we got back to the house here and it was 2-1. So in the what sixth, seventh inning, but I mean they had a shot, but 6, 7. But yeah, good season. 97 total wins is pretty good, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
and this is something that I wish you'd have told me, which we both lost. We both got eliminated by divisional rivals. Obviously, Red Sox Yankees hurts a little bit more than Cubs Brewers.
a little bit.
However, 29 teams in the season fairly unsatisfied. It just is what it is. Um, but yeah, good season for the Cubs. Truthfully,
Mhm. Yeah.
I feel like outside looking in, they exceeded expectations. I feel like y'all got a lot to be excited for going into the future. And the Brewers are a wagon, and they have now become America's team on the National League side because everyone hates the Dodgers. I think most of America is literally pulling for any of the three outside of the Dodgers. Because, like,
I'm not pulling for the Brewers, that's for sure.
no, but I mean, if you got to pick between Brewers and Dodgers, I mean, let's be fairly rational here. It's really
I kind of want to put the Brewers as my hater and losers of the week because after they won last night, there's pictures going around of the team celebration. The Cubs fly the victory W, fly the W. Well, they were flying a dang team holding up a flag with a big L on it. But I got to thinking, I was like, you know what? It's a pretty big rivalry. It's not as big as Cardinals Cubs,
that's pretty good.
but it's the I-90, I think, is what they call it, rivalry. And so, I mean, to the victors go to spoils. Congratulations, Milwaukee. We'll see you next year.
That's pretty. I mean, flying an L flag's pretty good. I'm
I
not.
can't say there's nothing I can say. There's nothing
I'm not.
Chicago can
I'm
say
not a
either.
Brewers guy. I'm a big Christian Yelich fan. Truthfully, I mean, it's kind of hard to hate him, I suppose, but that's pretty good. And I think you're just upset that you're on the opposite end of it.
But I mean, it's like Pedro said, sometimes you just have to tip your cap and call him your daddy. And they just beat the Cubs. What do you say? Sad. Harb, at least I won one of my two games yesterday. The Vols won 34-31 over Arkansas. First win against Arkansas since 2007. And I was telling you a little bit about that game last night. I was in school at UT at the time, and Arian Foster that day ran all over Arkansas. And pardon my voice, I'm dealing with a little bit of a upper respiratory sinus issue today, so my voice sounds a little weird. That's why. But Arian Foster ran all over Arkansas that day. But it was crazy. I I saw that earlier in the week, and I was like, yeah, that's right, because we lost to him in what 2010, 2012, 2015, and then last year. So it's been a while. I mean, 18 years since we beat Arkansas. We haven't played them every year, but it was nice to get a win over the Razorbacks for once, finally. It was a little more tense and dramatic than it probably should have been, but I told Big Montana sitting in the stands after the game, I was like, man, I take these wins any way I can get them in this conference. And that's what Tennessee did. They found a way to win. Um, they weren't particularly outstanding, in my opinion, in any facet of the game, but there were several areas they were pretty good in. There were several areas they were kind of atrocious in, and we'll get to those, but they did enough to win. I don't know if Arkansas is better under Bobby Petrino or not right now. I mean, they're still playing with the same players they had, but a lot of their problems reared their ugly head yesterday. Arkansas's struggled with turnovers all year long, and they turned the ball over what 3 times yesterday? Three fumbles, two of them lost, or no, four, three of them lost.
Well,
Um,
well, every single well, two of them were Taylor Green.
and then the running back on the option play,
Hmm. Hmm.
he fumbled. So yeah, I mean that's been a issue for Arkansas all year long. We talked about it last week. You weren't as high on Arkansas's offense as I was, but statistically, they're one of the better offenses in America. And not necessarily passing the football, but running the football. They had their way with Tennessee yesterday. I don't know. I don't know what, and I haven't got to go back and watch all the game. I watched the first possession this afternoon, and I got busy doing some other stuff. But I don't know if it was a scheme issue or an alignment issue. But if you watch, there's a running play on that first drive, and we've got three guys on one side and they've got four, and we blitz from the opposite side, and they run it to the opposite side of where the blitz is coming from. And I think they picked up about 25, 30 yards on the run. And it just seemed like there was whole huge running lanes for those guys all day long. But I thought the defense figured some things out. In the third quarter, Arkansas didn't do anything. Even into the fourth quarter, they really didn't do anything. But Tennessee got up 34-17, and I don't know if they took the foot off the gas or what on that side of the football, but Arkansas just, what was it, like 8 minutes to go in the game, and they were down 17, and they marched right down the field, scored in a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. We got the ball back, got a couple first downs, got it to the 44, 3rd and 3. We ran a power play to the right. Didn't get it, got 2 yards. And that's something else we'll talk about in a minute that everybody was moaning and complaining about. We punted, ball went into the end zone. Arkansas, within 2 plays, was down at the 30-yard line. I mean, just Tennessee's defense allowed too many big plays, too many big splash plays yesterday. And of course, these games are so week to week anymore, but I'm really concerned about this team defensively right now. They are not very good, but they are so good at pressuring the quarterback and turning the football over. TFLs and turnovers. It's crazy how good they are at that, but how mediocre they are defensively overall. I don't know. Am I overthinking this, Harbin, or am I looking at it wrong? But um, I'm not. I'm kind of not looking forward to this weekend. So that's usually when the Vols surprise me. I'm expecting the worst this weekend. Just the way this team's playing defensively, right? It's not the offense, it's the defense. It's worrying me.
I don't think you're wrong. But going into this game, Tennessee ranked 15th out of 16th in the SEC in explosive plays given up on defense. Which explosive plays are defined by 20 yards or more. And if you've paid attention at all to the season, it's kind of been our kryptonite. Like, we'll have stretches where we look like a good defense, and then all of a sudden, whether it be a little crossing right over the middle or a draw or a screen or whatever it may be, it's a big play. And the another thing is everybody this week was been like, "Oh, watch out for Petrino, watch out for Petrino," and I was one of the ones that was like, "I ain't worried about damn Bobby Petrino. He ain't been a head coach in forever. He was their offensive coordinator. Offense was good, obviously, but I was I was just kind of in the under the camp that it wasn't that big a deal. And I'm here to put my hand up. I was wrong because I think a good amount of it was a scheme thing because Arkansas threw out a lot of schemes against us that they really hadn't done all year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they threw out a lot of looks that they haven't really done. And that maybe Petrino's hands were tied just a hair under Pittman. But
Maybe.
going into this game, um, Taylor Green, Arkansas's quarterback, was the leading rusher for Arkansas, who is also only, I believe, 25 yards behind Aguilar and Simpson for the most passing yards in the conference after this game. Well, during the game on Saturday, Arkansas ran for 241 yards, 5.5 yards a carry. Mike Washington Jr., number four, stud, by the way. I'm going to tip my cap, give him my flowers. 19 carries, 131 yards, 7 yards a carry. Taylor Green also got 63 yards, and most of that was off of busted plays, and that's what grinds my damn gears the most. Like, you're about 4 or 5 inches from getting a 9 yard loss, and bam, he's got a 15-yard gain. Does he deserve credit for that? Absolutely. Everybody knows he's an incredible player, he's a hell of an athlete. But a lot of that is executional issues, in my personal opinion. And also, Braylon Russell, number zero, it felt like he had a bigger game than this, but he had 8 carries for 47 yards. He averaged 6 yards a carry. It was just like I feel like Arkansas for the most part before this game was in the gun a lot, spread it out, kind of relied on Taylor Green they would run some design runs for him or scramble, and they'd probably throw it about 40 times a game. How many times did they load up in a pretty much jumbo set?
Several times.
Like fullback, two tight ends, one or two receivers, and pretty much looked at Tim Banks and said, "We're going to run it up the right tackle's rear end, and I dare you to stop it." And we didn't. And we finally did ish towards the what was it, middle of the third quarter when the game started to change just a hair.
Hmm.
But I
Here,
just like I've leveled out a little bit since last night, which I wasn't mad. We won. But Minot and I were talking leaving the stadium, and he brought up a good point, and I agree with him, so I'll just say it. I'm giving this game a C minus, and the only reason I give it a C minus is because we won. I don't think you can win a conference game and it'd be a D. But that was a C minus or maybe just a C flat effort or execution, whichever kaleidoscope you want to look through. It was clunky. It was fairly ugly, and that's just not the type of performance you want to see when you're going into arguably your biggest game of the season coming up. You're up 17 with 8 minutes left, and you're praying to God you get a first down so you can ice the game with a minute 30 left. That shouldn't happen. I don't think anybody will argue with me on that one.
not me.
Like, you give up that first one, they cut it in, you're like, okay, cool. Like, whatever. They got a pretty good offense. Like, I can live with that. But both of those offensive drives inside 8 minutes were just so conservative. I understand draining the clock, but damn. And this is a pattern.
Now, they did throw it on that one play to Kitzelman where he was wide open over the middle.
Was that the one he dropped?
No, he caught it and ran for, I
Okay,
mean,
yeah.
he caught it as like a 20 or 30 yard gain.
There's one play, is either end of the third or early fourth, that we threw is either second or third down. Aguilar is a perfect throw, hit him in between the numbers. The Kidsman just dropped it, didn't connect on it. But
Yeah, so that drive started with 8:10 to go in the fourth quarter. First play was a Star Thomas 1 yard run. Second play was a 23-yard pass to Kitzelman,
Oh,
Tennessee.
that was the RPO up the
Yes.
yes.
The
Yes.
next play, so now there's 6:56 remaining. Star Thomas 3 yard run. Next play was 6:19. Star Thomas 4 yard run. So now it's third and three. And Thomas a 0 yard run. And then we had the penalty. Um, they just took the delay a game and punted into the end zone. So, yeah, like it started out fine, but I'm not saying they should have thrown it every play once they got to the 49, but it is, and I've not barked about this a whole lot. And I heard some people like Heupel's going to cost us the game, and I'm like, what about our defense? Like giving up all this, and you're sitting here talking like, why are we so hyper focused on us running the football on third and three in the fourth quarter? Find a way to get 3 yards on 2 plays. Just find it. You've got a really good offensive line. I was laughing thinking about this after you left last night. I remember the day not too long ago where if you would have thrown the football on third and three, you'd have got run out of town. Why are you throwing the football? Third down, run the football, run the damn ball. And now we're running the ball on third and three, and people are bitching because why ain't Heupel drawn up something more creative? It's like you can't please everybody. I get it, but there's other facets of the game that I'm more concerned about than that third and three play call at the 44-yard line. But I
I
see
would
both.
I
I
wouldn't have
see.
said it that.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying you, but
Yeah.
there were some that were. And I see both sides of it, though. Like, I do see other coaches around the country who will be a little more ballsy with their play calling in that situation. And it seems like ever since Hendon Hooker left, that Josh Heupel, and I said it a couple weeks ago, he's got a little bit of Philip Fulmer in him. He's like, let's play to not make a mistake here. Let's let them make the mistake. And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you got to go for it and be the aggressor. And I don't know what's happened over the last couple years that's gotten him into that mode. And they're in that mode defensively. If you looked yesterday when they went up 17, they started playing that soft zone. The corners and the safeties were backing away. It was almost a prevent at different points. And you just can't do that. You got a team on the ropes like that. And honestly, the first 2 plays after they went up 17, they had Arkansas on another third and long and gave it up, and then they just went right down the field. But I'll get to the third down stuff here in a minute. But I feel like when they get to a certain point in a game, he's just like, let's just get to the finish. Whatever it takes, just get to the finish. There's no like, let's pour it on. I don't know why they're like that right now. And I thought it would go away after, I think you said this too, after Milton left. And it seems like we've got a really competent quarterback. Not saying that Milton wasn't, but I mean, you had Milton and Nico last year, and they would just go into a shell and just run the football, run, pass, punt. And it's not been like that this year, except late in the game, they get super tense, super conservative at different points. And I don't know why. It's so anti what he's all about offensively, but defensively too. I look at it yesterday, they got super conservative on that side of the ball late in the game. Why? Why were you so scared of them beating you deep? You dominated them in the third quarter and most of the fourth quarter. Over half of the fourth quarter, they didn't do anything. So what? Why? I don't get it, but I don't know.
I don't know either. And I think we level-headedly 24 hours removed, I think we may be discrediting Arkansas just a hair. Because, like you said, they've been a very good offensive team all year long, and with a as creative as a play caller as Petrino is, as soon as he's unhinged, or not unhinged, but
He
unhandcuffed
is
his play.
unhinged.
Well, he is unhinged, but being unhandcuffed and just doing whatever the hell he wants to.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably gonna be some results, and they were coming off a bye week. They had a lot of time to prepare. We were also coming off a bye week, but I think you alluded to this last week. Heupel's teams are kind of traditionally not phenomenal coming off a bye, which is kind of weird.
No, they're not.
And may have been a combo perfect storm. At the end of the day, you won a game. You won the game. We're 5-1. Me and Brett had a playfully heated discussion after the game by the truck. I'm not going to get into details, but I made a couple points. He made a couple points. Now that I've slept on it, we were both right in certain aspects, and 80% of the stuff we were saying the same thing. We just didn't realize it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Big Montana sent that video of you two arguing, and I was like, I must have been doing something else. I didn't know. I was like, what was this about? And they were like, Heupel.
it wasn't even about Hopple. Like, I was just kind of, well, I guess it was about Hopple. I was just kind of necessarily saying some things that I don't really agree with or don't love, and Brett was saying they're not a big deal. And I'm like, well, they're not a big deal until they are. Like,
Till it cost you a game.
like our last two quote unquote big home games, it's kind of the same stuff at the end of the game. You win one, you lose one.
So before we talk about, I want to talk about some good things too. But before we get to
Absolutely
that, one more bad thing. Third down on both
awful,
sides of the football.
awful.
Tennessee was seven, or sorry, Arkansas was 7 of 13 converting third downs.
It felt like way more than that.
I've got a stat here, Harbin. Where did it go? Jordan Moore, who's been a guest of the show before, tweeted this afternoon or this morning. Um, he had tweeted or posted, sorry, Tennessee's defense had Arkansas on third down 13 times. 11 of those 13 times were third and 6+ yards to go. So third and long. The Vols allowed them to convert 8 of those 11 for either first downs or touchdowns. That's terrible.
Yeah,
That's terrible. And also, going into the Mississippi State game, Tennessee, I believe, was at 54% converting third downs themselves. Very good. If you're above 50%, you're doing something right. The last two games, they have been 5 of 14, 2 of 9. So 7 of 23, that's 30.4%. That ain't gonna cut it. It's just not. 30% third down conversion rate at this level is not good enough. Just not good enough. So I don't know. The defensive side bothers me a lot. I mean, we used to call it back in the day when you were little, Harbin, third and Chavis. He'd bring out that Mustang package. Now I started yelling yesterday, it's third and Banks. I'm having flashbacks to the mid 2000s when John Chavis, who was a great defensive coordinator, don't get me wrong, but they had a tendency over the years to give up third and longs in back-breaking situations. Felt like I was deja vu all over again. But yeah, I mean, that's the last bad thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know if there's any other bad you want to get out, but that third down on both sides of the football yesterday was awful.
yeah. I was gonna say third down defense was my biggest gripe. Um, Another thing that is now what I would consider to be a pattern when people try to run it up the middle against us, most of the time we're good at stopping it. Every once in a while, they get one to break, like Arkansas did. But if they get outside the tackles, or like run it towards the tackle and bust it outside, I mean, it's guaranteed 8 or 9 yards. Like, and that's frustrating. It might be schematics. That might be a talent issue. I don't know. Uh, but that's the recipe to beat this team. I don't think that's necessarily rocket science. If you can run it outside the tackles, you are going to move the football against this team. And these aren't necessarily gripes, but these are concerns I have going into our next game, or potential concerns, I guess I should say. Number one being Deshaun Bishop's availability. Have we heard anything about that? I haven't been on Twitter at all today.
I've not heard anything. I knew nothing would come out today, but
Right.
we'll see what
Yeah.
they say
We
tomorrow. But
probably won't know anything on Wednesday.
yeah, I mean, they may update it tomorrow, but knowing Hoppa, he'll say, "Oh, we're monitoring him. He's day to day." Well,
Exactly. We're gonna get a head coach answer, and I'm fine with that. But his availability really concerns me about the Bama game. And number two is a potential concern. Chris Brazel had one catch for 5 yards, and there's a couple times he was open on deep balls that Aguilar, in rare instances, missed him, or at least one. One of them was Matthews or Staley. It was in our end zone. There was two on the same drive. It
yeah, they
was
were almost back to back, weren't they?
it might have been second and third down. I believe it was second quarter, and that was when the wind was at its height. Uh, and that end was downwind. Not necessarily taken up for him, but he doesn't do that all the time like we were used to the previous 2 years before him. So I am going to take up for him a little bit. But do we are we a hair concerned about Brazel having one catch? Because
I'm
I
not. I'm not because it was this one game. I mean, but they didn't really like target him a whole lot. What they throw to him 3 or 4 times? That was it.
they targeted him early, and then it was more like we're going to throw you out there and like I'm not saying this is what it was, but it kind of felt like it there for hair. Like it was more like a decoy type of thing. And Staley was having a good game. Matthews had a pretty decent game. Kitzelman stepped up. Like it wasn't like our passing game was shut down. I think Aguilar still got what 230 yards in the air or 220,
221.
221. Not the best, not the worst, but when you run it for 272 or whatever we ran it for, you don't really have to
Yeah.
air it out. And
No,
that was
I'm not concerned about that. If it goes on a couple, 3 games in a row, yeah, I don't know what that is. I just wonder if Arkansas, he had a chance early and they just missed on some throws. And then he had one in the end zone down on the south side that he maybe could have caught, but it was pretty tight coverage. It was going to be tough either way, but they just kind of I don't know if Arkansas took it away from him or Staley was hot yesterday, so they just like, no, we'll just throw it to him.
yeah. Staley played great.
6 for 109.
Hmm.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about Bishop real quick. 14 carries, 146 yards, one touchdown. Probably could have had more, but left about halfway through the fourth quarter with a injury that you referenced earlier. I think he's probably okay. It didn't look good right when it happened, but he walked off. I mean, I wouldn't say like jogged off, but he walked off under his own power, and the motions he was making with his legs, the movements didn't seem to indicate that it was something serious. Might be like a sprain or something, but somebody said, "Oh, he's tore his ACL." I was like, I've never seen anybody move their legs like that with a torn
No,
ACL.
like when he went down, it was awkward. I don't know how it looked on the TV broadcast, but from where I was initially, like it kind of looked like ankle, maybe knee. But when he got up, he started kind of doing like high knees and whatnot. And in my opinion, that's more like trying to like stretch out your hip.
Hmm.
So and that would make sense. Like it was kind of like a hip drop. I don't know. I mean, it was one of those landings that you don't see often, so it's kind of hard to, I don't want to say
Mm.
diagnose, but which I don't really like diagnosing stuff when it happens anyway. There's always a couple in your section. I'm sure you got the same as I do mine. As soon as somebody goes down, oh that's this, oh that's that. It's like, well, wow, you're a KOC doctor from 80 yards away.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
But hopefully he's good. When he went down and he punched the ground a few times, made you nervous a little bit, but it was more so it might have startled him
Yeah.
because he got up and he looked like he was moving okay. But hopefully he'll be good to go on Saturday.
Well, out of all that being said, Tennessee found a way to win 34-31, 2-1 in the conference, 5-1 overall, heading to Alabama, third Saturday in October. We'll talk about that one here in just a minute. Let's get into the power rankings. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Week 7 SEC power rankings. Do you want to go first or me?
I can.
While you go first, I'm gonna get me a drink of water because my throat is killing me. So proceed.
All right. We're going to start at the bottom as usual and try to speed this up just a hair more normal. Um, at 16, I've still got Kentucky. They didn't play this week. They they're just not very good. They're Kentucky. Not much to say there. At 15, I moved South Carolina down. They only lost by 10 at LSU. But if you are a weekly listener to this show, you will know I'm not extremely high on LSU either. USC Junior is coming up on an absolute brutal stretch in their schedule. I think this is kind of their home. At 14, I moved Arkansas up one spot. I think they have potential to make a little noise, ruffle some feathers potentially. I don't necessarily think they're going to make a massive upset or anything, but they could scare some folks. Or we just played like shit and they're still Arkansas. I don't know which one, but they're at 14. At 13, reluctantly, I've got Mississippi State. Kind of they're on bye, and a couple teams passed them up, unfortunately. I'm still fairly high on them, maybe blindly. That's where I got it. And at 12, I've moved Florida up. Got Florida up there. They showed me a little something against Texas. They looked pretty decent against A&M. A&M handled them. I believe that ended up being a 10-point victory. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so, yes. 34-17, I think.
So A&M scored late. Last I saw it was 27-17. I don't think they're awful. And honestly, I'm probably going to gradually move them up to where they're fairly high in the power rankings for when we go down to Gainesville, though it makes it look better if we actually do beat them for the first time in 22 years in Gainesville. At 11, I've got LSU. This may be unpopular. I just still don't see it. You beat South Carolina 20-10 at home. They still can't run the football. Nussmeier is decent. Their defense is good. It's just I'm just not impressed with Bayou Bengals. We'll see here coming up, I suppose. And at 10, jumping up a few spots, we've got Texas. Texas won the Red River shootout 23-6 over Oklahoma. Their defense looked good. I don't know anything anything about Arch Manning's stats off the top of my head. Uh, oh wait, no, we looked at him last night. It was a whole lot of dink and dunks. I think he
Mm.
averaged like 5 yards of completion,
Yeah.
or maybe a hair more. I think Mateer came back too early, and they benefited from it. They got a defensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown, and that's how they got to 23. You move up a little bit for beating Oklahoma. I truthfully don't think Oklahoma should have been 6 in the country. But either way, you get a rivalry win, and they were number 6, so you move up in the power rankings. 9, Auburn. Is Auburn 0-3 in SEC play? Yes. Are all three of those very close games with questionable officiating? Yes. They're not bad. They're not good. In my opinion, Auburn is pretty much the Mendoza line in this conference because I think they're better than all the bad teams, and I think they're worse than all the good teams. You lose at Oklahoma by one score off some interesting officiating. They had some questionable things go against them in that Georgia game, like when Kirby was clapping and got rewarded 2 timeouts. You're not bad, you're not good, you're Auburn. I don't know what else to say. I feel like it's best I can explain that. And at 8, I have dropped Oklahoma to number 8. I think Mateer came back too early. I think he was very vocal and adamant about wanting to come back. And I think if you're Brent Venables, you want that out of your star quarterback. You want that out of your Heisman frontrunner contender. But at some point, you got to tell the kid no because you're a grown man and he's a kid. I don't think he was ready. This was far and beyond the worst he's looked all season. I think he only had 200 yards through 3 picks. I just don't think he was ready to come back. Also, credit to Texas's defense. But yeah, you got smoked, so you dropped down. 7, think they stayed idle in my rankings. Maybe moved down a hair. I've got Vandy.
You had them at 6 last week.
I'm moving down a hair then. Vandy did not play this weekend, which leads me into number 6 is Missouri.
And they lost.
They did
Poor
lose.
Vandy didn't play and dropped, and Missouri lost and moved up.
Quality loss. Missouri goes right
Good
down.
resume loss.
Missouri goes right down the field on Bama and scores first. I'm getting all giddy because I bet on Missouri. Well, then Alabama rattles off 17 unanswered and 17-7, and everybody's like, "Well, this is gonna be a butt whooping." All of a sudden, it's not, and it turns out to be a barn burner. Missouri gets a drive at the end of the game, does nothing with it. They showed me something though. They finally played somebody. Like that was the biggest thing that you and I talked about. They hadn't really played anybody. They finally played a quality opponent. They came up a hair short. Now there was some glaring issues, I should say, that came up for Missouri in that game that other teams may try to exploit. But they still had a chance. They only lost by 3 to Bama. That's why I've got them up 6. 5, I've got Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is the weird one because, yes, they are undefeated. And we talked about this last week. They won by, I believe, 1 score at Kentucky. They beat Arkansas by 1 score at home. And then randomly, you only win by 3 against Washington State this weekend. Everybody kind of pumps the brakes on the Ole Miss bandwagon. They could be good. Well, and they also beat LSU by 5. I apologize. Forgot to say that. They could be good. They could be frauds. And I think Missouri, Ole Miss, and Tennessee are in the same tier in the SEC. And I would probably label that tier probably good, but potentially fraudulent. And that leads me into number 4. I've got Tennessee. Tennessee won at home. Didn't necessarily look the most impressive they've looked all year. Still ran for 275 yards. If you can move the pill like that on the ground, you're going to win some ball games. Like there's so many different ways to look at all of these games, but with this being a Tennessee podcast, that's the one I'm going to focus on. There's a million different ways to look at it. You can be mad, you can be sad, you can be happy, you can be thrilled. At the end of the day, they JWTDG'd it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure a couple things out this week, and you get a marquee matchup. 3, I've got Georgia. And I think my top 3 staying the same from last week. They keep winning. Kirby Smart has a mental block when he sees Crimson. Does it look all that impressive? Not particularly, but they're winning. And they play Ole Miss this weekend. We will learn a lot about both of those teams. Like that's probably the game to watch in the conference, or 1A, 1B. 2, I've got A&M. Ended up handling business against Florida. Florida's riding high off of beating Texas week before. I think they're pretty legit. I don't think their schedule the rest of the way is all that of a gauntlet. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that, because I could sound like a moron right there. I'm not looking at it.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. There's a couple games that they could stumble with, but
They,
it's
but
not all that bad.
they're in the driver's seat as
Hmm.
far as getting into the playoff goes. I know they've got to play Ole Miss, maybe Bama, but either way, you got A&M at 10. I think their quarterback's legit. They got good defense. And at 1, I've got Alabama. You can't win a road game in this conference and drop. Not a whole lot more I can say about that. Ty Simpson's good. Their defense is looking better. They're starting to run the ball a little bit better. We've got our hands full this weekend. The 2 games to watch this weekend are Tennessee, Bama, and Ole Miss, Georgia. That's 2 pretty damn marquee matchups. That's 2 top 5 matchups in the conference, according to my rankings.
It's about as big as it gets.
As big as it gets. What do you got?
So on mine, I mean, your list was pretty good, Harbin, but it sucks.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you don't like it, make your damn own.
If you don't like it, make your own. So that's what I did.
Yep.
My bottom 4 stayed the same. Kentucky at 16, Arkansas at 15, South Carolina at 14, Florida at 13. No changes there, so no need to discuss it. I kept Mississippi State at number 12. They were idle. Nothing to really talk about there. Auburn, I've got them at 11. They've had a little bit of tough luck. They are 0-3 in the SEC, but man, what an atrocious second half offensively by Auburn. What did we say? What did they say last night? They had 15 total yards of offense.
They had 15 total yards from 2.5 minutes left in the first half to the end of the game.
That's bad. That is really, really
It's
bad.
awful. It's
But
awful.
I kept them at 11. No movement there. Well, I think they may have been 10 last week in
But it
mine.
was after they got screwed on Jackson Arnold's quarterback sneak slash
Right.
jump, whatever you want to call that.
I got Missouri at 10. They showed me some stuff, but not enough to move them up any. They lost, so they're going to stay right where they've been for most of the season. They need to show me more. I've got them at 10, but they did show me a little bit playing Bama. Um, so got them at 10. I dropped, this is a big change. I had OU at number 2. I dropped them to 9. Not a good effort yesterday against Texas. Me and you talked about it. Mateer probably came back too soon. They probably not that he wasn't healthy, but it's the rushing him back and getting him back into the flow type deal. From what I've read, they just couldn't get anything going, and Texas has a really good defense as well, so credit them. But I dropped them to 9. They got some work to do to get back up where they were. Moved Texas up to 8. Impressive win at the Cotton Bowl yesterday against OU. Showed a little heart, a little fight. They could have easily laid down and given up after the start to the season, but they found a way. And what was it, 23-6, I think was the final. So good win by Texas. Moved them up to 8. LSU's at 7. They beat South Carolina 20-10. Wasn't much to that. Not very impressive, but that's been LSU this season. They just kind of get by. Um, I honestly wanted to drop them further than this, but I was having trouble putting some of these other teams ahead of them. Move Vandy up to 6. They didn't even play. I moved them up. Good for them. I dropped Tennessee to 5. Um, I said last week I would have Tennessee at 4, 5, or 6 between Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee. Well, I moved Georgia and Alabama up above out of the 4, 5, and 6, as you can tell from this. So got Tennessee at 5. Defensively, not great right now. Offensively, doing well enough to win some football games, especially running the ball, but got a lot of stuff to clean up. And they're going into a hostile environment Saturday night. They better figure it out. Ole Miss, I dropped them from 1 to 4. Not an impressive game yesterday. Kind of reminds me, Ole Miss reminds me a lot of us, of Tennessee. Like you mentioned earlier, just, kind of getting by. I'm not necessarily saying they're playing down to their opponents, but they were 32.5 point favorites against Wazoo and won by 3. And they've kind of done that all year, beating Arkansas by 1 possession, beating LSU by 1 possession. Um, Kind of finding ways to win, which is what you got to do. They're 6-0, so kudos to them. But I dropped them to 4. They're still in the hunt. They control their own destiny. I moved Georgia up to 3. Again, this is not the same Georgia team. This is a totally different team, especially on the offensive side of the football, but they're just finding ways to win. Big drive there at the end of the game to put them over the top and seal it. But there's something different about this Georgia team, Harb. I don't know. They don't seem like the typical Georgia team. We've said that for weeks now on here, but they keep finding ways to win. And except that they play the next team, who I have at number 2, Alabama. Alabama has steadily gotten better as the season's gone along. Kalen DeBoer's righted the ship, it looks like. Big matchup this weekend, third Saturday in October at Bryant-Denny, 7:30 p.m. We'll see what both of those teams are made of. It's a top 11 matchup. They're 6, we're 11. In my rankings, it's 2 versus 5. So let's put the football down and see who's better. And then number 1, I've got A&M. I'm very impressed with A&M. They're elite defensively. They're good enough offensively right now and they're another one. Them and Ole Miss, I think they do play each other, but they control their own destiny to get to Atlanta and to get to the playoffs. So that's my top 16. Well, top 16. There's only 16. So if you're in the league, you're in the top 16. But yeah, big matchups this weekend. Just looking at the schedule real quick. Big one in Nashville at First Bank Stadium. Number 10 LSU traveling to Vandy, number 17 Vandy. Vandy, 2.5 point favorites. It's
Should be.
12 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Oklahoma travels to South Carolina. Williams-Brice, 12:45 kickoff. OU, 4.5 point favorites. A&M travels to Fayetteville. Can the Hogs get off the mat? 3:30 kickoff, ESPN. A&M, 7.5 point favorites.
That line's fishy.
How so? What do you mean?
You'd think A&M would be favored by more than that.
I wonder what the matchup predictor has them at to win that game. It's probably about 60 or 70%, I bet. Let's look.
I bet it's more like 70.
70% right on the dot.
It's a little fishy.
We'll see. Um, I got off track here. Harb, where were we? Oh, big game of the day, 3:30 ABC. Game day's there. Number 5, Ole Miss at number 9, Georgia. Georgia by 6.5 in Sanford Stadium. Mississippi State travels to Florida. Florida favored by 9.5 over the Bulldogs. They're in Ben Hill Griffin. Texas at Kentucky. Historic Kroger Field. Texas, 10.5 point favorites. 7 o'clock kickoff.
Gross.
We mentioned Tennessee and Bama. Right now, Bama's 9.5 point favorites. Over under 60.5. So they're expecting some points to be scored. The nightcap, Missouri at Auburn. Auburn, 2.5 point favorites. Interesting.
That's an extremely interesting line. There's a lot of interesting lines that you just mentioned.
Well, we'll have to watch those and see how they change throughout the week. Um, Tennessee
Well,
at Bama. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like the Texas Kentucky line at 10.5. That one's funny because how bad is Kentucky, and also can Texas beat any conference team by 11?
Yeah, that's up in the air. Besides Oklahoma,
Like it feels like if Texas or if Kentucky scores 13, they cover.
I'm not sure that Kentucky will score 13 on that defense, but
Well, that might
I've been surprised before.
that can also be true. So
Tennessee at Bama, Harb. What are we thinking? How's this play out?
we gotta figure some shit out before we head down there. Um, I'm not gonna act like there's a gap. There's not, and we're 5-1 headed down there. I think every single person listening to this podcast would take us being 5-1 headed into Tuscaloosa with them having one loss. Um, but the run defense has got to be better. The third down, whether it be passing or rushing defense, has to be better. I'm not necessarily concerned about the offense outside of potential pre-snap penalties. How many do we have against Arkansas? 4?
I think it's 4 or 5. Yeah,
That's a lot. And that's
too
at home.
many at home.
That's a
That's too
lot.
many.
I mean, we had 3 false starts, and Arkansas didn't have one, which that's an entirely different conversation. That one that they called a snap infraction was it was looking back on it, it was very funny. It wasn't funny in the moment, but looking back on it, it was very funny. Anywho, I should have brought this up earlier. That is one of the more concerning things about going down there. We had 3 to 4 pre-snap penalties at home. That
Yeah.
place ain't gonna be quiet. That place ain't gonna be on your side.
Nope.
It's gonna be louder in Mississippi State. That's just one thing to potentially keep an eye on.
It's going to be much louder than Davis Wade Stadium. I promise you that.
Well, yeah,
I
man,
promise you that. I've been to both of them now, and it's night and day.
no disrespect to Mississippi State whatsoever, but a spade is a spade.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be loud. It's Tennessee, Alabama. Like, this is something you embrace.
It's why you
Like,
come here. It's why you go to both schools.
we haven't won down there since, what,
Oh.
'03. So it
Yes.
was the same year that was the last time we won at Gainesville?
Yes.
I didn't realize it had been that long.
Because
Shit.
that was the 51-43 five overtime game. That Tennessee, in was it the second or third overtime, had to convert a 4th and 19 just to keep the game alive. Casey Clausen to CJ Phaeton. 4th and 19, they got like 23 yards on some crossing pattern. Bama was playing a 10 bank zone, and he found a hole in the zone, and then we ended up winning. I remember sitting there watching that game at home, like, this game's over. Casey Clausen found a way. The Iceman. Sorry, go ahead.
As he generally did. I don't know how I feel about a prediction, but I think the biggest key is the O line and the run game on offense. I think our receivers are talented enough. Our quarterback is talented enough with a mixture of confidence and having, I don't want to say nothing to lose, but truthfully, when you talk about Joey Aguilar, like, that kind of is the case in a good way. Um, if we can run the football and keep it churning that way and convert some critical third downs, keep the ball moving, it's going to be a hell of a game. Now, if we get to 3rd and 2 and we get a false start and kill all momentum, or 2nd and 1, or whenever, I mean, we've seen every example. That can really kill us, and those are self-inflicted errors. And you're not even talking about the team that you're playing. Alabama's starting to look good, very good. I shouldn't say starting to. They've looked good pretty much ever since that Florida State blunder, and we were making fun of them, truthfully, and now it's starting to look like that's the spark they needed to wake them up. Ty Simpson, solid. I put him and Joey Aguilar pretty much in the same camp, same category. Um, front seven's got to improve for this game because Ty Simpson's probably going to have a pretty good day. I'm not saying he's going to light us up, but most of the time he's going to do what he needs to do. We can't give up 250 yards on the ground against Bama and expect to win. If you do that, there's not going to be a whole lot of orange in that stadium when the fourth quarter starts. It's point blank, period. And on top of everything, it's a damn rivalry game. Nut up. This game means something. Arguably, it's the game that means the most, depending on what generation you ask. Or not even generation, really just depending on who you ask. And traditionally, this is the game that matters the most.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I can promise you one thing. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm also speaking for this pod. I do not give a damn about the whole state of Alabama. Not one bit whatsoever. I'm from Tennessee.
I wholeheartedly
And
agree with
in
you.
my dumb pea brain, strawberry plains, Tennessee homer mindset, that's why it's so imperative for Deshaun Bishop to play in this game. Out of everybody on that roster, he's the one that gets it the most. That sounds dumb because obviously everybody on that roster wants to win. They want to beat Alabama. They understand the rivalry. Sean Bishop grew up in it, and he played his ass off against Arkansas before he went down. Like he is at I think the first four games we kind of thought Star Thomas was the number one and Deshaun Bishop was the two. I think it's kind of flip flopped over the last few weeks,
Yeah.
and we don't need to put a label on them. We've got three really good running backs. But one thing that I don't think we discussed when talking about the Mississippi State game, yeah, we have guys for this drive and this drive and this instance and this instance. When we got the ball in overtime and we called a run play and it only took one play to score, who did we hand the ball to?
Bishop.
That's all I gotta say about that.
um, some stats very quickly on this game. Some stats to keep your eyes on. Arkansas was very good offensively, right? Alabama is 102nd in the nation rushing the football. Tennessee, according to this, is I assume this has been updated. 59th in the country against the run. I figured we'd be worse than that. We're atrocious against the pass, though, 123rd. Tennessee is I mean, these stats offensively for Tennessee: fourth in yards per game, seventh in total passing yards per game, 22nd in rushing yards per game, first in scoring offense per game. Bama defensively is pretty solid. 18th overall defensively, third against the pass, 22nd in scoring defense, 93rd against the rush. And Tennessee is
That's big stat.
22nd in the nation rushing the football. So something to keep your eye on there.
I don't know if
Um,
that can be updated. We just ran for 275 yards.
I'll double check on that while
Because hell, weren't we averaging 200 rushing yards a game going into today or this weekend?
I don't remember. I think it was close. I don't think it was quite 200, but it was close.
What does it say we're averaging right now while you're looking at it?
210 yards per game. So I guess we were.
So it might be updated. That is a big stat. If you can go down there and run the football and kind of control the game how you want to control it, that changes this game immensely. If you go up there, if you go down there and get stonewalled, Joey Aguilar's great. Don't get me wrong. You try to throw your way out of a rivalry game in a hostile environment, it normally don't work out very well.
NCAA.com has Tennessee at number 33 with 199.2 yards per game.
So that one's not updated. The one,
That this is not. It says games through Friday. Okay, so I'm deleting that. That's not been updated. Okay, so this one has. Um, I don't know. I'm not riding high with a lot of confidence going into this game. Tennessee under Josh Heupel, let's just face it, they're not very good on the road, especially in a night game. Um, I think there's some things statistically and analytically that is in Tennessee's favor, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence, unfortunately. I'm pick accordingly. Breaking news here on the podcast, Harbin. I will be there. So it's already not, it wasn't looking good before. It's really not looking good now. But I've just seen this, I've seen this happen before where you go into this game and we're not feeling very good and not a lot of confidence, and this conference can surprise you. Especially this year in college football, it's kind of it's a week to week thing. I mean, one week a team looks like this, the next week they look like world beaters. I mean, look at Alabama. They looked awful against Florida State. What's Florida State done since then? They've lost two or three games. Bama's lost. That was their only loss, and they're back to. I'm not saying they're back to where they have been, but they're trending upwards and looking good. But I don't know. I mean, the analytics say Alabama wins this game. I'm not saying they blow us out, but they'll, win by a score or two. But should be fun unless we lose.
Well, the way Alabama's looked recently, with wins over Missouri, Georgia, a few others, and Tennessee's been skating by. They blew their chance against Georgia. They went to overtime against Mississippi State. Give up 250 yards rushing, 250 yards passing against a depleted Arkansas team that just fired their coach. All of this being at home. Tennessee might as well just not even load up on the bus and go down there.
Right.
Seriously. I mean, them tiny little Vols ain't got a damn prayer going down there.
No. Woe is us.
I'm sure you'll hear that in the media at some point this week.
Oh yeah.
And there'll be some rat poison that says Tennessee's gonna pull off the quote unquote upset. Don't listen to that either. Don't listen to
Honestly,
that
I
more.
was I was reading something earlier today, Harb. And I haven't looked this up, strength of schedule wise, but you look at Tennessee's resume right now. Let's just look at it from a playoff standpoint. They're kind of on the bubble. Um, hadn't really beat anybody. We haven't. Let's just be honest. I mean, Syracuse is mid. Arkansas is below mid. UAB, they just fired Trent Dilfer today. Um, what was that other game? ETSU, that doesn't count. And Mississippi State, you were right. We had to fight and claw to beat that team. I'm not saying Mississippi State's like UAB and them, but we shouldn't have to fight and claw like we did against it. I just feel like we're better. Maybe we're not. This would go a long way for Tennessee to win this game. If they lose it, it's not the end of the world, but they've got a huge uphill climb to get in the playoffs if they lose this game, in my opinion. And I think the analytics is going to say that as well. Now they've got opportunities ahead of them. They've got Oklahoma, they've got Vandy, they've got that's
Florida.
it, Florida. So
Can I play devil's advocate real quick?
I'll allow it.
Even with how the Georgia game went, that kick goes in, the narrative is completely flipped on this Tennessee team.
No, absolutely.
And I've been very adamant that game shouldn't have came down to the kick. Blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. The resume thing is so funny to me because college football is so fickle, and especially with how much parity there is now, it makes it even more fickle. If Tennessee's undefeated right now, the narrative's so different, and that line is way different. And it's still the same two damn football teams. I mean, and we could play the hypothetical game all day. Like, what if Georgia beat Alabama? What if Missouri beat Alabama? Like there's a million different ways to look at this, and sure, black and white resume. Tennessee's two best wins are Arkansas and Mississippi State. Not great, but I don't know. I think it's so situational because you look at Ole Miss's like we compared Tennessee and Ole Miss earlier. Look at Ole Miss. They've skated by. They've done this. They've done that. but they beat LSU, and they're what, number five in the country now? Number four?
5.
LSU, I really don't think is very good. But it's the narrative thing. LSU, on paper, they've only lost to the number five team in the country. Who is LSU beating? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
Hell, and if we're going off the logic we just said, us and LSU are pretty much the same team, truthfully. They beat a
still,
weak AC. They beat a weak ACC team to start the season. They've skated by a few times. They lost. They've narrowly lost the biggest game they've played all year. Who does that sound like? I mean, it's just
like a team in orange.
yeah. I mean, it's different styles. We score, they don't.
So I'm looking at ESPN's FPI, which is man, the last few weeks has been all over the place. But I particularly wanted to look at the playoff percentages. It's got Tennessee right now at 28.4% percentage to make the playoffs. I'm sure that would increase with a win against Alabama, who's currently at 83.4%. But looking in the SEC, it's got LSU at 32%, Texas at 33.6, Ole Miss at 59.6. And I'm sure a lot of this has to do with remaining schedule and current record remaining schedule. Georgia Bulldogs 72.3%, Texas A&M 78.8. Number one in the country is Ohio State at 95.1%. Um, Memphis State in here at 42.1% chance to make the playoffs.
What is South Florida?
They are at 30% on the dot.
So it's pretty much between Memphis and.
South Florida.
Are they in the same conference?
They're in the American, yes.
So realistically, if nothing crazy happens, it's whoever wins the conference championship game.
Think so, yes. Oklahoma has plummeted to 24% chance to make the playoffs. Here's Vandy at 26.7%. Good for them.
What's Tennessee at?
28.4. And it was 3 or 4 weeks ago at like 33. So it just and there's a lot that goes into that, but this matchup or this FPI's got Tennessee at 8.9 3 wins, 3.1 losses. So basically 9-3. Um
I mean, that wouldn't shock anybody.
I mean, I think that's what we all thought,
Like let like
I
let
had us going 9-3, losing to Alabama, Georgia, and Florida.
like let's say you let's say just hypothetically lose to Alabama and you split with Oklahoma and Florida. I mean, that's what that is.
But it's odd that it has that still because we're going to be favored in all of our games remaining, except for Alabama.
Yeah, if nothing drastic changes.
Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we're going to be favored against OU by several points. We're going to be favored against Florida, even though it's down there by several points. We're going to be favored by over Vandy by several points. It's not going to be unless, and this could change. I mean, we're still a month away from some of these games. Obviously, New Mexico State, uh, hell, they may not even have a line for that one. They probably will.
You still
Um,
control your own destiny to get into the
oh yeah,
same playoff.
it's what I'm saying. If Tennessee wins out, everything's still in front of them. Say Tennessee wins out,
Oh,
they're definitely in the playoffs. They might be in Atlanta.
without a shadow of a doubt, they're in both if they went out, in my opinion.
And if they lose two, they're still right there. But if they lose to Bama this weekend, they have to beat Oklahoma and Vandy, and they can't slip up against Kentucky on the road. And that's going to be a night game. Kentucky on the road at night. I'm not worried about that, but that's the one place Heupel on the road at night in this conference has done well for some reason. It's Kentucky, probably, but We'll keep our eye on that. Big game this weekend. I'm heading down with Dr. Neese. I don't know if Harb, I think you're you and Jake are discussing going, so you might be down there as well. Possibly.
We're
Maybe.
gonna be there. We're just figuring out what we're gonna do. We don't have tickets yet, but we will be there.
Might have us a place to tailgate, so I can at least get you in there. They
All right.
welcome they welcome us with open arms every year when we're down there.
All right. Give me a final score prediction.
I think Bama takes down Tennessee 32-25. Weird score there.
That's a very weird score.
I think we score late and cover, but it's not enough. What do you got?
Like I said, as good as this Alabama team has looked, and with Tennessee skating by, they ain't beat nobody. I mean, pretty much they've beaten ETSU, UTC, Carson Newman, and Tusculum. Uh, Hell, Tennessee'd probably be better off just
Just
staying up.
forfeiting, right?
Yeah, just stay up here, forfeit, don't risk injury, and see what you can do after that. But if we do decide to go down, it's looking like 49-13, Alabama. Um, we don't have a damn prayer against this team. They're just an absolute god squad. This Tennessee team is vastly overrated. They ain't no good. I don't have anything good to say about it.
Not much to say, is there?
Mm-mm. No. Ty Simpson, Heisman.
He's the front runner, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's gonna light it up. They're gonna run it all over us. It's just gonna be an absolute nightmare for Tennessee fans in Tuscaloosa.
Sad. Why am I even going?
Hell, the only reason I'm going is because we're going to Mobile.
I might as well just go to the Talladega, the Cup race, or the Xfinity race on Saturday.
Yeah.
Not doing that. All right, Harb. My throat's killing me. I need to get out of here.
Okay.
I'm hurting.
Okay.
I'm hurting. Um, yeah. Shout out again to everybody that was there yesterday. Great turnout. Shout out to Griff and Jonathan Hart for grilling the burgers. Shout out to Chassis for keeping us in line and getting that thing set up. Not the grill, but the tailgate. Shout out Dr. Neese for bringing the JWTDG stickers. Everybody was looking for them and they got them. But shout out for everybody that stopped by. I saw Matt Cunningham, an old teammate of mine from the Yellow Jackets days, a high school teammate of Slagle's. He was roaming through the garage, saw him. You mentioned Logan. There was a lot of people there, so I don't want to really get into mentioning names, but that's just a couple I hadn't seen in a while that showed up. But yeah, Wrigley Field Vol, great to meet him. He comes to one game a year, and so hopefully he'll be back next year for a game. We'll
Uh,
hopefully see him again down the road.
for sure. One big shout out I do want to give. He's there almost every week, at least in passing. Shout out our boy Jeff Burton.
Yes, yes.
That's my dog. Him and Jared are almost always by. His wife came by as well this week. That's family to me. So, and I believe Jeff listens to every episode we got. He texts me every once in a while about it. So, shout out to the Burtons.
He actually just liked our Instagram post of the group picture yesterday. He gave it
Good.
the fire emoji.
Old chicken on a chain.
Yes.
Shout out to them. That's one that I meant to do earlier. So,
And he's there. I look up, and there he is every time. Love it. Love it. All right. Appreciate everybody listening. You all know where to find us. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that stuff. Help us out. Help a couple Straw Plains brothers out. Um, I'll be in Tuscaloosa this weekend. If you're listening and you're down there, hit us up on our socials. Harb will be there. somewhere. I'm sure we'll be together. We'll link up at some point. So, but holler at us if you're down that way, and we'll meet up with you. I'll have some YY8 swag with me, hopefully. So, Harb, have a great week.
You do the same, brother.
I'll be traveling a little bit for work this week, so pray for me. I won't be in straw plains. I'll be out of my comfort zone.
I'm trying to be resting up as much as I can. Um, we will find a way to record Sunday night, but I will not be in my traditional studio. I,
Ooh, roadshow.
I believe I will be in, I don't know exactly where we're staying, but it'll be somewhere in the Mobile to Sims, Alabama area. So if the connection's bad, be patient. I'm saying that
Yeah, I
mostly.
remember last time y'all were in North Carolina, and it was
Rough.
rough recording that night.
Yeah. So hopefully there's good news in next week's episode. But if not, we'll be here either way.
Man, I was just thinking. I feel like we got a talking to Wrigley Field Vol last night. He was asking about all these people. I feel like we got a damn cast of characters on here. He asked about you, Big Montana. He said the Brett was there, and he said something about he said your cousin that lives with you. He called her a different name. I said, "Oh, Reagan." No, he's like, "Oh yeah, Reagan." So it's like we got a damn cast of people all to run the credits after the show. Shout out to at least this cast of people that come and go on here, or that we talk about at least.
Like
So
the modern day in Levenkeller.
yeah,
Brett is our fire marshal Bill.
yeah. Hey, it was. I mean, I had fun last night after the game. That was the longest I've stayed in the garage in a long time. I mean, I looked up. I was standing there talking. I looked up and the garage was empty. Traffic had cleared out, and I was like, "Oh crap, we can leave now." But nobody wanted to leave, so it was awesome. Good night. It's always good to celebrate a SEC win, no matter who you're playing.
The way I look at it is we only get so many of these Saturdays a year, and especially conference games. So I'm never in much of a hurry to rush because once they're over, I think about them often and I can't wait to get back to them.
Think about it though, really, honestly. If you don't go to any road games, there's only seven or eight of these, depending on the year.
Right, and three of them, well, this changes next year, but three of them typically are
Yeah.
this or that, but it's always fun. Always fun.
Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. That's what we'll do this weekend in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Harb, maybe I'll see you down there this week. We'll talk. For the rest of you, thank you for listening. I'm Negative Niece. I'm gonna go take some medicine for my throat and my sinuses. Harb, I don't know what you're doing the rest of the night, but we'll talk to you next week. Everybody, appreciate you listening. This has been the Section YY8 podcast.